Okay, welcome to part 5 of this admin panel series of tutorials. This is going to be more like a bonus round. So we've gone systematically through all of the main points, all of the main things you need to know about the admin panel. So this is going to be a few extras, bits and pieces, which will help you out. So the first thing I want to start with are related tabs. So tabs within entity records which show things that are related to that entity. So a really good example is documents, and that's the one I'm on here. So I'm inside a sales order and I'm on the documents tab. Now the documents tab is a really simple way of linking any document that's inside your account to any particular record. So a typical use would be, for example, to link some spec sheets that you've got for a product to that product. So if let's go to a product, for example, let's go to an item, this one that we've seen before, 25 sushi. And you see we've got the same tab. So this documents tab is a common tab. It's on all of the records. It's on all of the entities, and it just means that you can link documents to any entities in the system. So the way you do it, you go into edit mode. The document has to exist on the account before you can link it. So you can either upload it directly from this tab here. So if I click on add new document, I've got two options. Either I can select one that's already been uploaded, or I can upload a new one. So in this case, I'm just going to select one that's already been uploaded. We've only got these two sort of clothing size guide example documents here. So I'll just click one, and now that's linked here. So if I save, anytime I come back, I can click on this and I can just go straight to this document. It's a really good, useful way of linking, mostly PDFs are going to use this for, linking them to different records in your account. The other common tab which you see on basically everything, there's a few things that it doesn't appear, but basically you're going to see this on everything, is the audit log. Okay, so the audit log is a chronological record of all the edits, including the initial creation of a record. And this allows you to look back at a record and see essentially who did what. So this is a really good way of, if you're trying to problem solve, that's where mostly this comes in. So you're trying to work out something happened in the past, somebody did something, it could be one of the administrators, it could be the customer. So on a sales order, the initial creation log would come from the customer. So a good example I can think of is when you're in a dispute with a customer who says that they maybe put their postcode in a certain way, and you're maintaining that no, they didn't, that they made a mistake, they put the wrong postcode in. You can actually prove that with the audit log, because as well as, so you can see here, you've got the time that the log was created, who created it, what the action was, so whether it was an edit, a creation, or some kind of other action. And then you can actually click into it and you can get the full sort of code, let's say, behind the edit. So actually this is what we just did here. So you can see that we changed the edit to link the document, and that's the sort of record of that. Now that's raw code, so it is a little bit cryptic, but normally you can understand what's going on. You can look at it and you can see, right, this field was edited. You get the full shape of the edit that was made, or the creation, the record as it was created. So the audit log is really, really useful for looking back at and seeing chronologically what happened in your account. So the audit log, if we just go back, is only available in tabs. So there's no other place in the menu it's available, whereas documents are in your file cabinet. So if you go to Files, Documents, then you see all the documents in your account, and this is where you can add new documents, and then you link them as I showed you before. So we've covered documents, we've covered the audit log. I also want to show you the message logs. So this is another type of log which you find in the system. So we go back to sales orders, the sales order we were looking at. So there's no documents linked here, as you can see here. The audit log, there's nothing in the audit log. This was created even before we had audit log functionality. If I go to the message log though, you're going to see two messages. And as you know, I think it was part 3 that we looked at this. You can send messages directly to customers, to suppliers from your Pakk account, and a lot of messages are auto-generated. So when somebody places an order, the system will send them the typical e-commerce, your order's been received email. Then you've got invoice emails and dispatch confirmation emails. So there's a lot of emails that go out regarding messages, and there are other emails that go out in the system as well, like thank you for your review or bits and pieces, and that's always growing as well. So the way it works in Pakk, the way messages work, is that they're not sent immediately, they're added to a queue. And what that allows us to do is maintain a sort of a queue of messages that are going out. They're sent very quickly, so they're sent within a minute normally, and then that's logged, so you can see when it was sent, who it was sent to. So again, it's a bit like the audit log, but specific for messages. And you can actually access this here in reports, messages. So you can see in this account, as a test account, there's only 3 messages, but normally in your account, there's going to be pages and pages of them. And you can very quickly go to messages in different statuses. So scheduled, meaning they haven't been sent yet. Sent, meaning they've been successfully sent. And failed. And failed would be, if there was a typo in the email or something like that, then the system tries 3 times to send a message. I think it sends the first one after about a minute. And then I think it waits 2 or 3 minutes, tries again, and then it might wait another 10 minutes or something like that. It backs off slowly. And after the 3rd one, it just says, okay, there must be a mistake here, and it doesn't try anymore. But you can see that it's failed. So this is, again, a very good place to find messages that have been sent. So if we go into any of these messages, so this one, invoice for your order, this is related to the order we were just looking at. You can get all the information here, who it was sent to, and when it was sent, what was on it, what attachments are on it, what it looked like. And this is important here, the associated entity. So this email, although it was sent to this recipient, Jessica Testing, as you can see here, it's associated to this entity 21, and this is the sales order we were just looking at. So where we can, we link messages to a record. So if I click here, it takes me to this sales order. So basically, when the message was sent, the system said, right, this message relates to this sales order. And that way we can cross-reference them. And that's why you can see these messages here on the message tab. So wherever you see this message tab, you will see any messages that have been sent out in relation to that record. Again, just a very good way of logging. The last sort of log type thing that I want to show you inside the admin panel would be what we call a bulk RPC report. That's or a bulk action report. It's quite a technical name. But essentially, every time you do a bulk action, so if we remember what a bulk action was, we can go sales orders. I think a good example was maybe pending dispatch. Select bulk action, dispatch. So this would be what we were going to do if we were going to do a daily dispatch of orders. Yeah, so we would choose our carrier, the date, whether we wanted to send email or not, start tapping the tracking codes in. So we've got a few orders that we wanted to dispatch, and then we'd hit the button and we would dispatch it. Now what the system does when you do that is that it creates a log of this action in the background that you can come back and inspect. And that's very useful for, obviously, for seeing what actions were taken on what records and when, but it's also mainly intended for you to see any failures, because obviously the thing with a bulk action is that it might work for some of the records, but it might not work for some of the other records for whatever reason. Okay, so it's very unlikely that this will fail because there's nothing really complex going on here. But for other bulk actions, there's always the possibility that something can go wrong, and you need to have a record of that. And that's what you're going to find in bulk action reports. So in this one, you can see that this is a bulk action report on order entity, and the action is print. And again, this is something that nothing's really going to go wrong if you're just printing out some orders. And it tells you how many records were in the bulk action and how many were successful and how many failed. So if we go into it, you can see it a bit clearer. So this is a print order bulk action report on 2 records, 0 with errors, 0 total errors, line by line breakdown of which ones failed and which ones succeeded, with a link back to the entity, and then the audit log will show you when this was actually created. So that's basically all the sort of logging and linking type things within the admin panel. So there was the documents, the audit log, the message log, the bulk action report, and now just a few sort of remaining bits and pieces to show you. The first one, which we missed actually I think this would have been in number 3, in tutorial number 3, is this memo field. So this field here is we talked about it in the common, when we talked about common fields. So again, a lot of these fields here are common to lots of records, but basically everything in Pakk has this memo field, and the memo field is intended for you to write internal notes. Okay, so anytime you need to make a note between you, your employees, something about this record in particular, you can make a memo here, and then you save it, and it will save there. So it's just a generally sort of useful. We've got an error there to do with the invoice. Anyway, it's just a generally sort of useful note area, which you can make use of for whatever reason you need to. But what you need to keep in mind is it's not customer visible. Okay, so the customer will never see the memo. It's purely internal. Let's revert that. And then finally, in-field help. Now, I think it was in episode 1 that we talked about the help that's available here in the side, in the user menu. So these are links to tutorials, guides, basically, sort of long form documentation about particular functionalities. So and then let's click on pricing tutorial. There you go, and then you can see the pricing tutorial. Okay, we talked about that already, I think, in episode 1. The other way you can get help in the admin panel, which is a bit more specific and probably more useful in most circumstances, is what we call in-field help. So this is you're looking at the admin panel, you're looking at a field, and you're just like, what does this field do? I can't remember what this field means. If you see that the field name is in blue, like this, compared to not in blue, that means in-field help is available. And again, there's confirmation because you roll the cursor over and it turns into a question mark. So you can get in-field help by clicking on any of these field names that are in blue. Okay, if it doesn't have in-field help available, it's not in blue. So I click on units and I get a little bit of help here. Number of total units, the sum of line quantities on this order. So most fields have in-field help available, especially the more complex ones. So a good example is something like shipping methods. Shipping methods are a complete pain to set up. They're complex. There's lots of fields, lots of options, and they're pretty technical. So this is a really good place to use in-field help. You can't remember, what the hell does free over is X tax mean? It's quite a complex sounding field. So you click it and it will tell you. By default, the threshold is the VAT total, blah, blah, blah. So it's a really good way to get help very quickly before consulting the documentation or asking us. So make liberal use of in-field help. And that's the final tip, really, in this series. So good luck.